Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and Andrew Cabral is always with me. How you doing, man?
Doing good. Doing my mantra, getting things going.
He's dancing, guys.
Dancing around. Yeah, before I even hook any of the equipment up, I listen to music and get all revved up, like I'm about to take the stage.
Yeah.
about to run out onto the field.
Get the earbuds in. Or you
Yeah,
got it?
get my head. Actually, I use the same headphones I use
Yeah.
for the show.
What are you listening to?
Today was Linkin Park, actually,
Ah,
because it's just kind of what was playing.
Transformers.
No, that probably one of the songs that
Transformers
showed up.
soundtrack. No, it's good.
Well, I'm too ironically, I'm too cheap to pay for Spotify Premium. So when you don't do that, you just have the free version. They just play you like any random Linkin Park song when you click on Linkin Park. So it can be one from any of their albums or Transformers movie. I got to divide my funds accordingly, especially with all the movie buying that we've been doing this week and this month and all the time.
You just feel gross sometimes. This is the shameful time of the year.
It really is. I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels like that.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are not in the know, and for those of you listening to this in the future, this is Spy number 126, episode number 126, and this is the days after Thanksgiving here in the US, the days after you've done both a lot of eating and perhaps a lot of shopping when it comes to Black Friday sales. Black Friday extends into Black Friday weekend, which extends now into Cyber Monday. It's really the entire month now. But for us movie fans, this weekend is just a buzzing weekend. You've got sales from all the usual suspects: Vinegar Syndrome, Severin. Obviously, Amazon.
If you want to call Severance a sale, I don't.
Well, they did drop all of the stuff, all the titles that we talked about last week, and plus a bunch of their older titles are on sale.
If you're going after older titles, there is a sale, but like the new stuff is not on sale.
No, the new stuff is quite expensive. All the stuff we've been talking about over the last 2-3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Like I looked at the price for Cemetery Man, and what was it, like $50? $55. I'm like, it's a nice 4-disc set, like 4K. Steven bought it.
I was gonna say, did it stop me? Did it stop me from buying the other 2 movies from that director? No,
it didn't. I'm surprised you just didn't get the bundle. There was
the bundle's like
bundle.
$300. I'm not spending that.
There was a bunch of bundles actually.
Well, but the
biggest bundle ever.
With the bundle for that film, there is a bundle for that filmmaker, and I was not paying $300.
Yeah, it was like it's like all 3 films. Plus a bunch of
shirts and like some pins, and I'm like, I don't need all that.
Yeah,
I just want the movies.
Yeah, they did actually for the first time have a box set sale just on Saturday. On Saturday, a lot of their previous box sets were 50% off. Things like House of Psychotic Women, the 2 Eurocrypt box sets from of Christopher Lee was on sale. Plus, Ray Dennis Steckler was also on sale.
I literally have all of these.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Steven has like all of these. So
I had all of these.
Useless to him.
This didn't help me at all.
No, it did not.
You're just making me feel like I should have never bought any of them initially. Should have just waited for this moment. But apparently, you never did a box set sale before, so now you suddenly do one when I've bought all your box sets. Fine.
I know. What's interesting, the only time I ever bought the horror folklore set was during
all the Haunts BRs.
All the Haunts BRs was during a Black Friday weekend sale.
Yeah.
Of course, Vinegar Syndrome had their big sale. That's the one that people get hyped up for the most, I think. Like people are at their computers at midnight, ready to roll.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of mystery announcements be unrevealed. Well, revealed or just revealed?
Not unrevealed, but revealed.
But revealed. And one of them was David Cronenberg's.
Whoa!
Why?
We're gonna get there, ain't we?
We could get there now, I guess.
Oh, sure, I guess.
I mean, was David Cronenberg's Existenz on 4K UHD for the first time ever, I think, anywhere in the world.
I believe so.
I know it had previously had a Blu-ray release, I think, here from like Echo Bridge or somebody, and then of course overseas. I think didn't 101 put out a Blu-ray?
Yes, I have it.
And Steven has it. It's part of their what line is that? Their
Black Label line.
Their Black Label line, correct.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's a 101 announcement that I forgot to make a tab for. So
yeah, me too. I just thought about it.
I just thought about it myself.
Yeah.
You know what it? Oh, I know exactly what it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's two movies we've talked about before, but they're putting it out now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a big reveal for them, and that's kind of where my mind went all weekend, was checking stock of certain titles, specifically partner label stuff. And I ended up grabbing 3 from that sale. Steven, did you buy anything from Vinegar Syndrome?
Just the eXistenZ 4K.
Just the eXistenZ. Okay.
Yeah, I've been having to, cut back a little bit, so I can't. I just stay away.
I was surprised actually that you
Yeah.
went for Severin, because those are the more expensive ones.
They are.
So now you've been cutting back.
But I'm also at the allure of things that are new, and being that you gave Cemetery Man such a glowing review, and he had 2 other films in this, which was The Sect. We talked about this. You talked about this last episode. The only one you didn't see was The Church,
which looks equally as bonkers as those other 2 films, if not more so.
So I was like, just gonna fucking get these movies.
Yeah, this guy is kind of like an Italian genre.
He kind of seems like an Italian Sam Raimi, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely Cemetery Man is definitely in that vein.
Yeah.
The Sect is, like I said, it's kind of like Rosemary's Baby, but Italian.
So Italian Roman Polanski?
I guess if you want to go that route. But yeah, so they had their sales going on, but a couple of other of our people we've talked about, or companies we've talked about, MVD had a big, beautiful sale that's still technically going on tonight, but obviously you won't be aware of it because this will be dropping later on. Some of their titles were down to like under $10. Their MVD like Rewind Collection stuff and all those things from their website. Oscilloscope had a sale on their website. You had to put in the code. What was it called? Oscilloscope was the code for that. Kind of original there. Radiance had a sale on their website. They had a 4 for 40 British pounds, which was very nice. On not everything, but some of their limited editions of their releases from this past year. So if you wanted to catch up on some of that, like I did, that's what I did. It ended up coming out to about $50 to $55 with shipping to the US, which is about $13 a title, which I was telling Steven beforehand, that's like $10 cheaper than you would buy it on Orbit or Diabolic or even on Amazon. So it was a pretty good deal. Fun City Editions, I think, had a sale on their website too. Of course, their titles that are still over on the partner label section of Vinegar Syndrome was on sale. So there were sales everywhere going on. A little overwhelming. Got my anxiety up because I didn't know where to turn, and I also didn't want to go bankrupt at the same time. So yeah, what an exciting weekend of stuff. But I feel good. I feel good with my Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Feel good with my Radiance buying. Because I don't know about anybody else listening out there. I always have certain strategies in my head when I'm buying, especially stuff from sales. I want to maximize my strategy, maximize the money, and just all that kind of stuff. Like I'm thinking like, oh, I'm trying to buy all the Radiant stuff, so this sale does a bunch of things. I get them cheaper, I add more to my collection, and I can play catch up on the stuff I've missed out. Boom, we're checking off stuff off the list.
Okay, man. Wow.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I overthink everything.
Think about this. Yeah.
I way overthink things. Steven, I feel like you just see it and buy it sometimes.
Sometimes. Not as much as I used to. A lot of times now I'm just looking at screens crying. But
it's hard to resist. Hard to resist.
Let's look at announcements and cry.
Yes, let's do that too, because we got upwards of a bunch of things to talk about. We got some slates for the last full week of November of 2023, and we've also got some individual stuff that's kicking around. On a film that I got to watch that I really liked, and this is a Claire Denis film. This is Claire Denis' film called 35 Shots of Rum from 2008, starring Alex Descas and Mati Diop. And this is coming out December 19th, and this is from Cinema Guild, who I don't think we've talked about.
I'm sure we have at some point.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing.
I feel like we've had to have talked about almost anybody at least once.
Yeah, probably. So this film here is a really interesting, small focused indie film in the vein of Yasujiro Ozu. Reminded me a lot of Late Spring or other types of films like that. If you know what I'm talking, if you read this premise here that I'm about to tell you, you'll understand what I'm saying. So, hailed as one of the year's best films upon its release, and even more universally admired today, Claire Denis' 35 Shots of Rum is the story of a father and daughter whose tender domestic routine is disrupted by a handsome young suitor. With sumptuous images from Agnes Goddard and endearing tender stick score, 35 Shots of Rum is a gentle Ozu-inspired look at a small family in the moment before everything changes. And that's kind of the premise of Ozu's Late Spring. And so it's a very small, focused film about a father and daughter who have this very close relationship. A parent and child that typically have close relationships, as Stephen probably knows, being a father.
Sure.
But it's also like they're also kind of codependent on one another. They live together. The mother has passed away some years earlier. So they kind of, they live in the same apartment. They're codependent on one another in each other's lives in order to survive. But, the daughter is getting older, wanting to branch out, start a life of her own. She has a boyfriend. Things get more serious in that direction in terms of where her life goes. Career opportunities sprout up, things like that. And life changes, things evolve. Not everything stays the same all the time. And the movie is really about trying to deal with those things. You know what I mean? Specifically from the framework of a father-daughter relationship. Beautiful movie, incredibly well acted, very subtle, very, very, very good movie. Just incredible. Claire Denis does such great work. I watched several of her films over the years, and I just adore her work. I mean, for the longest time, her film High Life was my favorite film the year it came out, which was 2018. I just love her work. A lot of her work is featured in the Criterion Collection, like Beau Travail, White Material is in there as well. Let the Sun Shine In, I think, has a Criterion release as well. Yeah, she's a really, really great director. So I highly recommend her work and this film as well. This film, which I had not seen yet. So I'm glad I did. I got to get some of her work for my collection. I'm just so lacking in that. I still don't own High Life, so I hate myself for that.
That's surprising. You
it really does.
Always bring it up.
I do. I do a lot. So I've got to get it. I always remind myself that I got to get it. There's always a series of like indie films every single year that come out that are kind of indie hit gems that people talk about, and then they come out quietly on Blu-ray.
You know what?
I forget to get them.
You know what this year's is? That
what is it?
It's not quiet though. It was pretty loud. Infinity Pool. That's
one of them for me. I gotta get it.
Yeah.
I'm so far behind in doing that. I still need to get movies like Yorgos Lanthimos' The Lobster. I still need to get
really?
I'm so far behind. I want to get The End of the Tour, that movie with where
I know what it is.
Jason Segel is David Foster Wallace. I saw that in the theater, like back, was that 2014? What's that movie with Daniel Craig and Paul Dano? Swiss Army Man. I've been wanting to get that for years, and I still haven't got it. So I'm like a decade behind.
I think you said Daniel Craig.
I did say Daniel Craig. That would have been a different movie.
I was confused. I was like, what fucking movie does Daniel Craig and Paul Dano star in? I need to see that movie. What is that movie?
Daniel Radcliffe, who's kind of
that's a different actor there.
Yeah, he's kind of becoming the king of like indie films, really. Like after he and it's interesting. He and what's his name from Twilight, Steven? Why is my name
Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson. I almost said Will Patton. Don't ask me why.
Daniel Craig.
Yeah, Daniel Craig. He and Robert Pattinson, after they had their huge, gigantic, teen drama franchises based off of young adult books, they went the indie realm route and just done such great work.
Well,
Robert Pattinson now is obviously in like he's Batman
Well, he
and
could
stuff,
do.
but
I mean,
still.
like this is the thing is like, I think, and maybe I'm wrong. I obviously don't know their minds, but like for me, I feel like Daniel Radcliffe, talented performer, but I think well, first of all, I think Harry Potter's a bigger franchise. I think he had a little bit more difficult time. I think he might have thought he could have continued to do like somewhat popular type, Hollywood type of movies, but then very quickly he made a pivot. And then with Pattinson, I think he's always wanted to be an independent actor, like that did independent film, did art films. I don't think he's ever really been like super excited about being in franchises or, I think he just like Daniel Radcliffe, that just ended up being their first role.
Yeah, it just fell into their laps and they kind of just rode that wave.
It gave them the path to do more. And Pattinson's been more risky, and worked with big directors, and that's where I'd love to see Radcliffe do more. Not that he hasn't done some ambitious stuff, but like more with some like bigger directors. He's got some talent. It's just hard to not look at him and think Harry Potter. That's what's tough for him, I think. I don't think people care as much about Twilight anymore.
They may, yeah. People still love it. I mean,
well, I know that there's fans, but it's like I just don't think it's. I mean, because
they're not doing anything particularly with that franchise now, as opposed to a Harry Potter, where like they've made video games, they're
talking about remaking it into a show.
Yeah, they're talking about doing a show that they did a Broadway play that The Cursed Child, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, very interesting.
And there was 8 films versus 4. Was it 4 or 5?
I think it was. Oh boy, you gotta make me look this up, aren't you?
I think it's 4.
No, because they split the last. 5. They did. Remember that time when they kept splitting the last book in these series into 2 movies for no reason?
Weird time, yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking of that with the Hunger Games. It's like each Hunger Game book is not very long. They didn't have to split that last book into 2 movies.
It's called greed. Yes.
Yeah, it's called making that money. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting how all that works out, or doesn't work out for some.
But yeah.
But moving on from there, actually, I did want to see how many actual Twilight movies there were.
Twilight movies are.
I know. So I'm looking up Robert Pattinson's filmography.
Dawn,
oh boy, let's see.
Part 1 and 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jesus
there were
Christ.
5.
Gross. All right.
But moving on from there.
Next.
Moving on from 35 shots of rum. Let's move on to our actually, I'm gonna squeeze this one in here because I'm excited about this one. So I've talked about this many times. Bernardo Bertolucci's film The Dreamers from 2003 is getting a 4K Icon Film distribution. I saw this and I took a double take because I'm like, this is incredible. Why won't somebody do this here? I initially thought it was Studio Canal because it looked like a Studio Canal cover, but it's Icon Film distribution, and I think this is a UK. Yeah, this is a UK. So for those of you who don't know, this has been kind of stuck in the DVD realm pretty much since the movie came out 20 years ago. There's been a few Blu-rays that have come out overseas, but nothing here in the US. And obviously with 4K being a region-free format, this makes it able for us to watch here and something better than a standard definition, DVD from 20 years ago. So yeah, The Dreamers only has a Blu-ray in Germany, in Spain, I think that's in Japan, Russia, and South Korea, I believe. So other places, but not any place we could have actually watched it from, unless you have region-free players and whatnot. But so The Dreamers is a fascinating film, starring Eva Green, Louis Garrel, Michael Pitt, and Anna Chancellor. This is coming out on March 25th. This is from Bernardo Bertolucci, who's directed The Last Emperor, The Conformist, He directed Last Tango in Paris, one of the most controversial films of all time, set against the tumultuous background of the 1968 Paris student riots. Experienced this unforgettable romance like never before, starring, like I said, Michael Pitt, Louis Garrel, and BAFTA winner Eva Green, and in her remarkable cinematic debut. When Isabel and Theo invite Matthew, an American student, to stay with them, what begins as a casual friendship transforms into a sensual voyage of discovery and desire in which nothing is off limits and anything is possible. Yes, it becomes a menage a trois. It becomes a very sexual film. There's a lot going on in this movie. Yeah, I haven't seen it in years, but I remember really liking it a lot. I thought Michael Pitt was a really great actor. Is a really great actor. He just kind of disappeared off the face of the planet, in a lot of ways. I remember his last big role was the third season of Boardwalk Empire, that HBO series that was executive produced by Martin Scorsese, and then Terrence Winter, I think, was the showrunner on that. But yeah, so this is The Dreamers. Super excited that this is getting a 4K release. Hopefully this means we'll get one here. We at least got this. It's coming with just an audio commentary and then I'm making a featurette. Says 2 discs, and it says over 4 hours of bonus features, but that doesn't seem like there's a lot here. It's cast interviews and then B-roll stuff. And then it comes with some printed art cards. That's it. So that's The Dreamers. Moving on. Where do you want to go from here, Steven? Do you feel some type of way about something?
I see something here from Second Sight. Second Sight's got a release coming out for a.
I'm glad you reminded me of this because I forgot to bring it up. And I watched it last night too.
Yeah.
Britton, talk about it and I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, so they're preparing a Blu-ray release for a film called Inside. And this is, of course, a horror film. I believe it's a French horror film. Am I wrong? Right? Wrong?
You are correct, sir.
I'm correct. And it is described as following the death of her husband. An expectant mother is tormented in her home on Christmas Eve by a strange woman who wants the unborn baby. Of course, holiday movie. Add this to your holiday watch list. Inside. Please tell us more about your experience with Inside.
So I wasn't aware of this movie until it got announced this week. Maybe I had heard about it or read about it, but I just didn't remember. It's part of the 2000s French extremity, genre of films. And we've talked about them before. High Tension, Martyrs, films like that. And this film is right up there with them. This is bloody, gory, disturbing. Probably not the movie you watch in the dark at 1 a.m. the night before you talk about it on a podcast, but we all make decisions in life.
Are you okay, Andrew?
I am. But damn, there is imagery in this film that you don't forget. Specifically, like the final image of this movie stays with you. It is exactly what the title suggests. There's this woman who is pregnant. She's like a day away from going to the hospital to give birth. And she lives alone, which is probably not the best thing. And just at night, this woman shows up to her house and wants her baby. And yeah, it gets horrific and bloody from there on. Yeah, movie not for the faint of heart. It is streaming on Tubi, though. So you can watch it right now if you so choose to.
Do it.
It's weird watching that movie on Tubi because of the commercials. You'll be in the middle of like the bloodiest scene, and then it cuts to commercial to like some random product. And you're like,
Dawn soap.
Like, it is like an intense scene. Someone's been stabbed. There's blood splurting out everywhere. Then all of a sudden, there's like a family like gathering around a Christmas tree, like happy holidays. Like,
JCPenney's got a sale this week.
Yeah, exactly. It's very jarring going from that to that. So just be warned if that's the way you do choose to watch this movie. You're gonna be in for a roller coaster ride in many ways. But yeah, this is a bloody, horrific film, very extreme in all of its depiction of gore and all that kind of stuff. And of course, Second Sight's gonna do it up pretty well. It's
Yes.
getting their limited edition Blu-ray release, which comes with all new special features here. It is region B locked, the Blu-ray is, so you're gonna need a region-free player for it. It is coming out February 5th. There will be a standard edition of it too, but their limited editions are so nice that they are worth shelling out the extra money for. At least in my opinion. Steven, I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, it is definitely, and this is region B locked, so remember that this isn't a 4K, so it's just a Blu-ray, so you have to be region free to be able to partake.
Right. It is a 70-page book, rigid slipcase with new artwork, 6 collectible art cards. Yeah, I know a lot of people were buzzing about this because this is going to go right with High Tension, which they also released an edition of as well.
Yeah.
I was looking recently, because I really want to get Chopper and It Follows for the holiday season. Ironically,
Yeah.
the 2 holiday movies,
Sure.
Yeah, you will wake up on Christmas morning, run under the tree, and you've got Chopper and It Follows, waiting for you, as one does. But yeah, that is Inside. Damn, what a movie! The image is still haunting me in my head right now. But moving on, because we got to move on to other things. So, where do you want to go? Do you want to talk about this Fun City announcement or non-announcement?
Sure.
Possible future announcement?
Yeah, so
because you did get to see the movie.
I did watch the movie. Fun City Editions confirmed that they're preparing a Blu-ray release of Tony Garnett's Handgun, aka Deep in the Heart, from 1983. Says it's going to release sometime early next year. But the description: a teacher learns how to use a gun in order to take revenge against the lawyer who raped her. So, yeah, I did get a chance to watch the movie. It's on YouTube. So, and it's not great condition, but not the worst. So it's definitely doesn't hurt your viewing by watching on this YouTube transfer. But I'll say I think it's a pretty solid movie. I'm excited. This is, I think, could potentially kind of be like the next Natural Enemy, like that they put out last year. Last year.
Oh yeah. For a second, I was like,
something where it's like very kind of not a lot of people know about the film, and then it comes out and it's like pretty hard hitting for people, and people really are surprised by it. It's a film about, it's definitely a film about gun control. It's a film about gun violence, about our relationships with firearms, especially males, specifically. And it is a rape revenge movie, but it's the way it kind of it goes about it and how it ends, I think definitely is a more nuanced approach compared to some more recent films that have tried to tackle the subject matter somewhat. Like something that comes to mind is like Promising Young Woman. Or there was another one I had. Like even a movie like the Jennifer Lopez film Enough, where she's in that relationship with that man, and then he's very abusive, and then she has to find a way to get back to, people make fun of Jennifer Lopez, but I think that's one of maybe her best role. Is that film Enough?
That's a movie that people do not bring up very often.
No,
they don't tend to bring that. That was early on in her career, I think, when she was trying to do, I guess, more serious roles. I guess
it was. I don't know if there was a time period for her. I think she
that's true.
She did. I think early on she did better roles, and then as she went on, she started doing more like, chick flicky, whatever you want to call it, type of films. Made in Manhattan and
classic. That's a cable classic.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a film dealing with that same subject matter. And
yeah, there is the movie Revenge from 2017,
yeah,
which is literally that, um, a bloody and violent film. Um, and what is interesting is the premise of this film, just reading it on Letterboxd, sounds a lot like Death Wish, but
sure.
from a woman's perspective.
It's the vibe of the movie feels a little bit like it's an after school special in some ways. Like it's like it starts out pretty like obvious about its stance, and it almost in a way somewhat kind of like in your face makes fun of like what they're trying to talk about. Like it's like so obvious that they're like pointing out like that like our antagonist is like really loves guns. He really loves Texas. He really like it's like really kind of on the nose, the character, at least in today by today's standards. And like, but it works. Like it's. I think it's just the messaging and how it ends that I think makes the film like really work.
Okay.
So yeah, it's worth a watch, worth checking out. And
Yes, and I do want to.
Fun City's done a great
Yeah, I
job.
mean, I kind of anything they put out is worth a watch for me.
They're kind of a I trust them. Like
yeah, I do too.
Label.
Interesting connection to our podcast. Our buddy Scott Saslow, who's been on several times, is working on the artwork for the release, whenever that may be. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that. So, moving on from there, speaking of our old friends, let's go to Arbalos. Now, we talked about this movie apparently a while ago, and I completely did not remember.
Yeah, it was like initially it was like just like an announcement, and then this is like a details.
Yeah, this one we actually get details and release date, stuff like that. This is coming out February 7th, and this is a Hungarian film by, boy, I do not know Hungarian, Stephen. I'll tell you that.
I know Hungarian. Yeah, that's the one language I know.
Oh, it is.
It's called Twilight.
Yeah, it's called Twilight, but I was going to go with the director's name,
I
which
know.
is Georgi Ferhers. Ferhers?
I don't know. Amazing.
But I know Twilight also has a different name. They probably don't have it here, but it's but the movie, I guess the English translation is Twilight, and this is a stunning film, and it's not the same Twilight that we were just literally talking about. It's a movie from 1990. The Hungarian is Circulat. Oh boy, brutal. Circulat. Oh boy, that's brutal.
Circlak.
Yeah, it's brutal. It translates into something else, but anywho, Twilight is the English one, English translation, and yeah, as I was saying, the film is just absolutely stunning. I got to watch it the other day, and let's get the premise is thus. After discovering the murdered body of a young girl deep in a mountainous forest, a hardened homicide detective pushes himself to increasingly obsessive ends in his quest to catch the serial killer, known only as the Giant. Known only as the Giant, responsible for the crime. A much admired but long unavailable masterpiece by influential Hungarian author and regular Bellatar collaborator Georgi Ferrer. Twilight, or Zirkulet, as at once an existential murder mystery and an expansive meditation on time and space. Stunningly lensed in rich blacks and cascading grays by DP Miklos Gurban, Arbalos is proud to present Twilight for its first ever U.S. release in a brand new 4K restoration by the National Film Institute, Hungarian Film Institute, and Film Lab supervised by Gurban. Yes, you checked off all of the boxes of things that I love in this movie. Author-driven, art house, surreal, black and white. This movie, man, I can't even explain this movie to people. I was trying to watch it. I was watching it, but I'm like, this feels like Fritz Lang's M meets David Lynch's Eraserhead with the cinematography of Terrence Malick, and but with the harsh tone of David Fincher's Seven. And I'm like, damn, this movie's incredible. It is a slow burning film. It's an art house film. If you don't vibe with those types of movies, this movie's not going to be for you. It's not fast paced. It's not a thriller. It is slow, contemplative. But man, it's just the way in which it's lensed. I've never seen a film shot like this before. It feels like voyeuristically shot. Like people are not like in focused in the frame. It's like you're looking over their shoulder at what they're looking at sometimes. There's one of the most uncomfortable close-ups I've ever seen in a movie in this film. And yeah, it is just an astonishingly beautiful artistic work of film. Yeah, I can't say anything more than that. Steven, I know you've seen it, but you saw it like way before I did.
This was months ago, so don't even ask me about it, please. But I do remember it being a beautiful looking film. I do remember that, and but yeah,
yeah, the 4K restoration of this from the original 35mm camera negative must look absolutely stunning. You got a new video interview with the cinematographer. You got a new interview with the editor. This I think is this director's like first feature film. I think all they had done up to this point in their career was short films. So this was their first, I think, feature length film directing wise, and it's an astonishing work. You got a 12-page booklet with a new essay by Andrea Virginias, and it's a limited edition slipcase as well. It is region free, so that's really, really cool. We don't talk a lot about Arbelosa stuff because they only release like one release every couple of months, maybe not even. I know we got
maybe like 4 or 5 releases a year. Maybe.
Yeah, it's like it's not a lot, but they do put a lot of effort into a lot of these films that are films that you don't really see releases of. I know, Steven, you've got some of their releases.
At least 1 or 2 maybe. I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot. Yeah,
I think you have Santantango, don't you?
I do. Okay. Yes.
And we did. And now we'll bring this up again. We did have, I forget his name, Steven. I need you on this one.
David Merritt. David Merritt.
One half of the Canadian International Pictures team.
Yes.
And this is his company.
Yeah.
And so he works on this. He works on their releases as well. So they're combined between both of them. They put out some great stuff.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah,
they put out some great stuff. I got to get some of these Arbelos releases. I know they put out also a release of Dennis Hopper's, what's it, The Last Movie?
Yes.
They put
I don't know if that was. I know that's his movie, but I don't know if they put it out.
I think they put out the Region A release of that, and okay. I think Indicator put out the Region B release of that.
Yes,
knowing that off the top of my head. So that's Arbelos' Twilight, stunning masterwork of a film. I was kind of astonished while watching it. These days now, Steven, watching so many movies for the podcast, watching so many movies by myself, I'm not usually hit by something truly magically, artistically brilliant. You get a lot of middling stuff. You really do, especially in a lot of modern stuff. But sometimes you get hit with a real true gem. Like I also watched, this is completely off topic here, as I like to go, Alexander Payne's The Holdovers, which is his newest film.
Hey, have I told you how much I hate you lately?
Why? Because I got to see that movie.
You can go see movies whenever you fucking want, and I can't.
I know. That's living life, living large.
I hate you.
But that movie is, I think, one of the best movies of the year.
You know what? I do have something over you.
You do.
I can't say how I've seen the movie, but I've seen the movie Monster from our guy, Japanese director.
Koreeda?
I've seen his newest movie recently.
Nice.
But I ain't gonna tell you how I saw it.
Okay,
I'm gonna keep that one to myself.
That's all right. Keep your secrets.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you said that. The
I
movie
still haven't seen
Monster.
his film before. The film he did last year, Broker. I still haven't seen that.
I've seen that, so I can hold that over
You can
you, I
hold that
guess.
one over me, but I can go watch it now. It's like you can go rent it.
Yeah, I
So
know that's very
it's
true.
just a matter of me
I
getting
gotta
to it.
add Monster to my
But
watch list on
Monster
Letterboxd.
apparently is getting some good buzz. So
Yeah,
I was
I'm
able to
definitely gotta
chance to
check that
watch it.
out.
So
I mean, speaking of people who don't get releases here in the US, Koreeda's work doesn't get released
I
here, I
don't
guess.
fucking understand it. What's
I'm gonna
going on
say it
with that?
again, Steven. We're Shoplifters on
In
Blu-ray
the
here in the
US,
States.
in the US, yeah.
It's just not here.
Who's holding that shit up? Because somebody needs to. I mean, like where, like, I mean, the only thing we've gotten, I think, is what Air Doll from one of the partner labels
Yeah.
is a Koreeda film.
Yeah, I have it. Actually, I have it on my shelf.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's when we got. Of course, we got it. Some of the releases through Criterion.
sure,
Uh, um,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
it's like, what, what's going
well, a
on
lot
there?
of his modern stuff or recent stuff in the last few years just doesn't make its way here.
Is it one of them things where like he's working with different companies on every film, so it's hard to like get the rights because he's not always working with the same studio? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know who has the distribution rights here for his work. Obviously, it's not one of the bigger independent releases. Like,
uh,
it's not
yeah.
a Neon. It's not A24.
Well, I know in Region B, Curzon puts out like a lot of his stuff.
Right, but that's a
Um,
UK company.
it is. That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean,
But
granted, you could probably import a lot of the stuff, which I know you've done.
yeah,
So
I've
I'm
imported
complaining, but I'm just
Shoplifters.
like, it's not like it's not available. It's just not available here. So you got to import
Sure.
it and all that kind of stuff. Which I mean, if you have a region free
There's
player, you're
yeah.
good to go.
There's been a few good sets like BFI put a set out and Arrow Academy put a set out of 3 of his films. So I mean, a lot of his films are available. There's not available here for some reason. But moving on from that, how about we talk about Warner Archive?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so this broke actually last week, right before we recorded. So we thought we would save it for this week, and I'm
And
kind
how
of
that
glad
was
we
the
did.
wrong idea. No, I was kidding.
That actually ended up working out well because I got to watch all the movies,
Sure.
so I got to talk about it. So now I can actually talk about it, not just be like, "Hey, here's this." So we do have some Warner Archive releases. These are their January releases, which is right around the corner. We have The Prince and the Pauper from 1937. We have Faithless from 1932, Cabin in the Sky from 1943, A Day at the Races from 1937, Joe's Apartment from 1996, and one of my all-time favorite animated films, Rover Dangerfield from
Only
1991.
you. Only you.
Only me. Steven, have you seen any of these films?
I'm pretty sure I've seen Joe's Apartment at some point in my life, but to be honest, it's very vague to me. But
Um,
otherwise, no, I have not
I
seen it.
remember when Joe's Apartment came out in 1996, because I
I
remember
do
seeing
too.
trailers
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it. That movie is bonkers crazy. Like it's like part musical at some point, part like creature movie. It's weird. So, first of all, the movie stars Jerry O'Connell, which I didn't even realize. Um, so a nice guy has just moved to New York and discovers that he must share his rundown apartment with a couple of thousand singing, dancing cockroaches. And when I mean singing, dancing cockroaches, these are like anthropomorphic CGI cockroaches that like do stuff. Like they live in this apartment, they sing, they dance, they make this guy's life both easier and harder at the same time. But yeah, Jerry O'Connell moves from Iowa to New York, can't find a place to live until he finds this rundown, cockroach ridden apartment. Uh, and hijinks ensue. Uh,
Didn't this concept just feel so much like what it is, a late 90s, early 2000s comedy film? Like, it
yeah, like
makes me
this
think
movie's
about
so
something.
90s.
Well, it makes me think about something like Dude, Where's My Car? Like, it's
Yes, like
like
something
like
ridiculous and
s-
just dumb,
such a
over the top
stupid
comedy.
concept. Just on the surface, such a dumb concept for a
Really,
movie.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's such a dumb, like I said, dumb, over the top comedy. The kind of the crux of this movie is there's this I forgot this rich guy who wants to knock down the apartment complex that Joe lives in to put in a like a skyscraper prison. Like a skyscraper prison.
Okay.
Like a giant skyscraper prison. He's gonna make all kinds of money off of it and stuff. And he bought up all the property around it, and all he needs is this apartment building to knock it down to do it. And of course, he's like this evil money grubbing asshole of a guy. But it turns out he's got a sweet daughter who works, I think, at like a florist or something, who Joe has an infatuation with, has a little romance going on with. But I'll tell you, this has to be like the dirtiest apartment I've ever seen. Like it is just like not only the fact that it's cockroach filled, but just like there's garbage everywhere. It's just so dirty. Um, but yeah, this is such 90s, I would say, charm to it, but yeah, it is such stuck in that time. But yeah, it was fun. I never got to see the movie growing up. You know, when it came out in 96, I was about 9 years old. I remember seeing the VHS being able to be rented at Blockbuster and places like that. Never watched it. Never saw it on TV or anything like that. But yeah, it's a fun thing. It's a really interesting, odd catalog title for Warner Archive to put out. You know, but they're starting to put out a lot of their 90s like deeper catalog things. So I guess this fits in that bill. But as for these other films here, um, yeah, you've got The Prince and the Pauper, which is an adaptation of the um, Mark Twain story, the classic Mark Twain tale, where a prince and a prince and a pauper switch places with one another. Steven, did you ever watch the Mickey Mouse one adaptation they did back in the day? Because that was my introduction to the story.
Yeah, I probably have. I watched all that stuff growing up.
Where it's all the characters, but they're, of course, Disney Mickey Mouse characters like Goofy and Donald Duck and stuff. So, yeah, so these two, the prince is like this little, like, I don't know, 9, 10-year-old boy, and there's this pauper, this poor kid who is also around the same age, and they end up meeting one night, and they switch places, and they end up uh, they end up accidentally switching places, really. And so the pauper has to see what it's like to live as a prince, and the prince gets to see what it's like to live as a pauper, and they both grow because of it. They both learn things about their society because of it and all that kind of stuff. Errol Flynn is in the film. Claude Rains is in the film. Those are the big headlining stars. Claude Rains plays this evil guy who wants to manipulate this kid who's about to take the throne for his own means. Errol Flynn is this big heroic guy who takes the young prince who's now a pauper under his wing and like protects him and stuff like that. They get into some swashbuckling adventures and whatnot. Lots of fun. I really, really enjoyed the movie a lot. Classic Warner Brothers Errol Flynn type starring film. I really dig it. Faithless from 1932 is interesting film. This is a pre-code film, so it gets away with some things that you couldn't get away with after the Hays Code. The Hays Code was instituted in about 1934. I like to say that. So let me get the premise of this. So description. The great Tallulah Bankhead stars in this pre-code classic as giddy heiress who must lose everything in the Great Depression before she can find love. A beautiful socialite who's loveless, shameless, and faithless. Hey now. Bankhead stars as a wealthy Carol Morgan who spurns the affection of Bill Wade, portrayed by Robert Montgomery, because he earns a mere $20,000 a year. But when Morgan loses her fortune in the Depression, rather than accepting the man who truly loves her, she becomes the mistress of a still wealthy, abusive man she does not love. Morgan's life spirals downward until she finally sinks to selling her body on the streets. But her first customer turns out to be an understanding policeman who takes her to Wade, who still loves her and whom Morgan now both appreciates and loves in return, based on the novel Tinfoil by Mildred Cram. So that is the general premise of this movie. This very, very wealthy, stuck-up woman is humbled greatly because of the Great Depression, and she is forced to now do things that she would probably never do in order to get by. That includes prostitution, which is kind of something they were able to explore in the pre-code era of films, but once the Hays Code was instituted, they really weren't allowed to do that kind of stuff at all. So that's kind of one of the things you can do in pre-code world. Um, so this movie is very uh, very good in its depiction of that part of the story. And Tula Bankhead's great, Robert Montgomery's great. I did like the story a lot. It covers a lot of ground in a movie that is only 77 minutes long. So you get like I said, you get a fall and then a delve deep into that character type of stuff, and then you get a bit of a redemption, love story in there along the way. Very good. Very good film. I rather enjoyed it a lot. Next is Cabin in the Sky. Now, this is a musical. This is a straight up musical. Description: Lena Horne, Ethel Waters, Eddie Rochester Anderson, Duke Ellington and his orchestra, and Louis Armstrong. I told you it was a musical, Stephen. Had an exciting cast of musical legends in this. There he is.
There's me. Sorry.
Thank you. In this musical fantasy, as temptation pulls a man toward Satan, and his loving and God-fearing wife fights for his eternal soul. Seriously injured in a barroom ball, little Joe Jackson, who's portrayed by Eddie Rochester Anderson, hovers between life and death, dreaming that he is the centerpiece of an epic struggle between heaven and hell for his soul. On his side are the prayers of his loyal, pious wife, Petunia. Battling on the side of darkness is Lucifer Jr., and his most powerful weapon, the beautiful and seductive Georgia Brown, portrayed by Lena Horne. Played to the hilt by a stunning Lena Horne, like I just said, based on the hit Broadway musical, which starred Waters and Ingram. The film is best remembered as the feature directorial debut of the great Vincente Minnelli. There it is. That's what I was hiding this whole time. This is a Vincente Minnelli movie. It's his first movie that he's directed. Vincente Minnelli, of course, went on to do many, many great films. We talked about him like tons of times. He's one of Martin Scorsese's favorites. He went on. Yeah, so Vincente Minnelli directed things like Ziegfeld Follies, An American in Paris, Gigi, The Bad and the Beautiful, Meet Me in St. Louis. He went on to marry Judy Garland, and Vincente Minnelli is the father of Liza Minnelli, who Martin Scorsese had a thing with in the 70s. There's a lot of connections here, Stephen. A lot of connections here.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Martin Scorsese, the legend of himself, had things with the daughters of his most beloved filmmakers, which is such an interesting, fascinating thing to me. I could go on and on.
It sounds like it.
For example, like I just said, he had a thing with Liza Minnelli, but he was married to Isabella Rossellini, who is the daughter of Roberto Rossellini and Ingrid Bergman. Okay, go moving on from there.
Okay, all right.
Let you wrap your head around that for a little while, Stephen.
I have degrees of Martin Scorsese. I get
it. No, exactly. Well, he's been in the news so much lately because of his newest movie. I've been thinking about him a lot. But Cabin in the Sky, a lot of music, a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. The
prequel to Cabin in the Woods.
No, I wish it was.
Okay.
But it's exactly what the premise suggests. This guy has to he dies in dies in quotes. He has a kind of a near-death experience in this barroom fight where I believe he gets shot. And he goes to heaven, and they basically give him like a second chance, or they give him like a trial period for like 6 months. We're going to send you back for 6 months, but you're not going to remember this conversation we're having here. And we're going to see whether you're going to be a good guy or a bad guy. We're going to see if you're worthy of heaven or not. And they send him back, and he just goes on. He kind of gives into temptation, really. And all this kind of stuff goes on. But yeah, it's interesting. If you like Broadway musicals and stuff, this is your jam. This is your thing. If you don't, then obviously it's not for you. but I enjoyed the music of it all. It's very interesting. Also, it was very interesting at this time, 1943, for to have an all um, African American centered cast. You just didn't see that, specifically in prominent leading roles. Usually, they were relegated to smaller roles of like serving people and maids and things like that. So this was kind of a bit of ahead of its time in that regard. Um, but yeah, moving on from there, we got A Day at the Races, which is a Marx Brothers film. So you got Groucho Marx, Harpo, Chico. You got them all in here, and this movie is it's really really funny. If you're into the Marx Brothers humor, you kind of have to be in there. Um, so apparently, it's one of his favorite roles, Groucho Marx. He's playing Dr. Z Hackenbush. Um, and dispensing horse pills and quips with equal glee, Chico Harpo and favorite foil Margaret Dumont join the fun of this thoroughbred comedy, enjoying Tootsie Footsie ice cream, Dumont's medical exam, Harpo's pretty girl pantomime sketch, wallpaper wackiness, and wall-to-wall hilarity the Marx way. This tells you nothing about the premise of this movie. My goodness. Having seen the movie, I kind of want to get a much more descriptive description than that. Um, Let me look it up on. So, Dr. Hugo Hackenbush um, are trying to save. Okay, this is not even helpful at all. Trying to save Judy's farm by winning a big race with her horse. There are a few problems. Hackenbush runs a high-priced clinic for the wealthy who don't know he has his degree in veterinary medicine. So yeah, this woman is trying to save her sanatorium, which is kind of a mental hospital at the time. They don't call them sanatoriums anymore. They don't even call them
No.
mental hospitals, to be quite honest. They call them, I don't know if they call them wellness centers or stuff like that. There's a lot of different changes of names as we learn about
Mental
mental health,
rehabilitation.
things like that. Yeah, and so she runs one, but it's kind of failing financially. So she says she's hiring this big time doctor to come in and treat patients. It just so happens she brings in Groucho Marx, Dr. Hackenbush, and he's a veterinarian, not a psychiatrist. So as you can assume, wackiness ensues because of that. But her boyfriend decides to spend all of their money on buying a horse to do horse racing. So that's part of the plot as well. Wildness and wackiness ensues with there. You got Groucho Marx and the other Marx brothers doing their stuff. Yeah, it's a super fun, funny movie. You know what I mean? If you know the Marx Brothers, you know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't say this is the best Marx Brothers movie to start off with because the movie is actually longer than I thought. The movie is 111 minutes long, and I thought that was kind of long for a comedy from 1937. I don't know how you. I know how do you feel about long comedies, Steven?
Well, it depends. It depends on because like there's some that are like kind of have an epicness to them. Like I think of something like I believe wasn't the Hangover kind of long for a comedy? Or well, here's a better example. Alexander Payne's movies. You were just talking about the Holdovers.
Yes.
Them films are pretty long, usually. Oh, well, here's a even better example. Our man with Seth Rogen.
Judd Apatow?
Judd Apatow films. Now, do
Yeah.
all of them work? No, but 40-year-old version's like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an
funny
extended
people.
release of that.
Yeah, Funny People's over
Also
2 hours.
long. Yeah, Judd Apatow is notorious for having longer, like 2-hour comedies, and sometimes having like extended cuts or director's cuts that are even longer.
Yeah.
That's kind of his thing.
It honestly doesn't matter. I don't think any genre should be kept to any. It has to be short. I mean, I think most people would say if there's any genre that works at a short pace and that it's horror, but I mean, honestly, there's examples on both ends. So of really great long horror films and really great short ones. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you can tell a story with good pacing. Didn't matter if it's long or short. So I don't have that. Yeah, I think it doesn't matter. There is no right answer.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the construction of the film, how a director makes it, how the actors perform it, and just again, they can dictate the pace. That can dictate the pace.
And comedy is, so subjective.
Very true.
Funny, very true. Not.
But I want to talk about moving on from one comedy to another. Also, the Day at the Races actually has some bulky special features here. We've got feature commentary by historian Glenn Mitchell. We got a making a featurette on Your Marks, Get Set, Go. Robert Benchley, MGM Short, Night at the Movies. 3 classic MGM cartoons. That's fascinating. I love when they do that. But going from one comedy to another, Rover Dangerfield has such a special place in my heart. I've only ever owned this movie on VHS tape, never bought the DVD, and I watched this movie all the time as a kid. I discovered it when I was very, very young, probably like 4 years old, 5 years old. Came out in 1991, which I was 4 in 1991, so that kind of makes sense. And I remember buying this, my parents buying it on VHS tape at a store that no longer exists. And I watched it so many times, and this was my introduction to Rodney Dangerfield. I had no idea who he was. I mean, he got into comedy late in his life, but just a legendary comic. So, Rodney Dangerfield, the legendary comic, does the voice of this dog, Rover Dangerfield. Not a big stretch here, not a big stretch at all. What happens is he's a dog from Vegas, and he ends up getting transported to the middle of the country. So we got a fish out of water situation going on here. Going from the big city to the small town, not even small town, just literally a farm. And the reason why it happens is so dark and kind of sinister. I don't want to get into it now because it is also kind of sad in a way. But he ends up going out there, meets a bunch of other talking farm animals, and having to adjust to this new life on the farm. And it's hilarious and wacky and fun. I absolutely love this movie. I'm just ecstatic that it's coming out on Blu-ray from a brand new master as well. I could go on for this movie forever. This is my Rockadoodle, I would say.
I was going to say, like Rockadoodle. I'm honestly not familiar with this movie at all.
Yeah, so. It's from the makers of the Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah, that's nice. This one I must have gotten covered up by Aladdin for me.
Yeah. Back in Disney
Beauty and the Beast
the 90s. I mean, Disney, that was the golden age. If you weren't watching Disney as a kid growing up in the 90s, you were kind of deprived a bit, I would say. So I love this movie. So that's it from Warner Archive. Another solid slate of diverse slate coming out in January. These are all going to be available. I'm pretty sure to pre-order very, very soon. Let's move on, Stephen, because we stuck on that for a little bit. Where else do you want to go? Want to go to Kino? Just to get out of the way. Let me see. I got to scroll down actually because I didn't set up my Kino page like I normally do. Oh, slacking.
We are at He Walked by Night.
He did walk by night, Stephen.
1948.
This is actually a re-release of a Blu-ray that was not a re-release of that Blu-ray, but this movie has already come out on Blu-ray.
Yes.
From I want to say, what's their name? Classic Flicks? Yes, Classic Flicks. Classic Flicks put out this Blu-ray originally in 2017. This is the film starring Richard Basehart, Scott Brady, Roy Roberts. Jack Webb is in this film. It's directed by Alfred L. Worker. You may have this.
I do.
There we go. It's directed by Alfred L. Worker and Anthony Mann. But the caveat with this one is it is a brand new HD master from a 4K scan of a 16-bit 4K scan of the 35 millimeter fine grain print. It's got a new commentary by film historian Imogen Sarah Smith. It's got an audio commentary by Alan K. Rody and Julie Kurgo. And of course, it's got a slipcover because Kino's getting the slipcover fiends. They're getting us. They're getting us. It's got different cover art than the other one here. So if you missed out on that release for whatever reason, um, this will be for you. I missed out on it, so I'm kind of glad that I can scoop this one up. But this is, Savage, Searing, True, starring Richard Basehart, Scott Brady, and Jack Webb. This film noir classic was the inspiration not only for TV's Dragnet, but from many other subsequent ripped from the headlines crime dramas taken from actual case files. He Walked by Night is the suspenseful, action-packed tale of a manhunt for the most cunning criminal in the history of the LAPD. With a combination of ingenuity, state-of-the-art technology, sweat, and sheer determination, the police painstakingly track down a brilliant, elusive thief and cop killer, chillingly portrayed by Richard Basehart in only his third film, who seems to have the ability to vanish into thin air. But can they catch him before he murders again? That is the question. This gritty, groundbreaking police procedural features direction by Alfred L. Worker and uncredited Anthony Mann, with stunning cinematography by John Alton, who shot Raw Deal. This is like one of those gritty, like street level crime film noirs. Like the black and white, like you can feel the grain in it. You know what I mean? All takes place all at night, if I remember.
All right.
Yeah, coming January 30th. This is a great film noir. I wish it would come. I mean, I would say it's already out, but I wish it would come out in time for Noirvember. But moving on from there, we've got another film here that we don't know when it's coming out. It just says coming soon from a 2020 HD master by Paramount Pictures. It's Blood on the Sun, starring James Cagney and Sylvia Sidney. Now that is a great title for a movie.
It is.
I just don't know what the movie is about because I haven't seen it. Nick Condon, an American journalist in 20s Tokyo, publishes the Japanese master plan for world domination. Reaction from the understandably upset Japanese provides the action, but this is overshadowed by the propaganda of the time. I'll watch anything with James Cagney in it, so I want to watch this movie. It's available to stream on Amazon Prime, on Paramount Plus, on Tubi has it, MGM Plus, which I don't even know why that's a streaming service, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying. But yeah, it's available to stream if you so choose to. It's James Cagney. It's worth a watch. Any of his movies are worth a watch. But moving on from there, we've got a film by the late great Peter Bogdanovich, one of his films from 1974 called Daisy Miller, starring Sybil Shepherd, Barry Brown, Cloris Leachman. And this, I believe this is the film. Is this the film he did after The Last Picture Show? Let me see. It's kind of nice that we're getting another one of his films now coming out on Blu-ray. I kind of wish it was available beforehand, before he had passed. But that seems to be the case. Sometimes passing of a director, of an actor, will prompt these companies to put out their stuff. Granted, this could have been in the works for forever, for all we know. But let me see if this actually came out. Yeah, The Last Picture Show. Oh, then What's Up, Doc? Then Paper Moon. Then Daisy Miller. That's a nice lineup there. That's a nice lineup.
It is.
So Daisy Miller is a period piece that he wrote. So in this comedy of manners, Frederick Winterbourne tries to figure out the bright and bubbly Daisy Miller, portrayed by Sybil Shepherd, only to be helped and hindered by false judgments from their fellow friends. Yeah, it's one of those kind of like comedy, like it says, comedy of manners, but like a period piece, not stuffy, but you know what I mean. Like one of those. I'm thinking of Sense and Sensibility. I'm thinking of Dangerous Liaisons. I'm thinking of what's the one that Scorsese did, Steven? The Criterion put it out.
Innocence.
Age of Innocence.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something in that manner.
Sounds stuffy.
In that tone.
Sounds
yeah,
stuffy.
I did get to watch it. It is it streaming? Yeah, I think it is streaming. Let me check. It is. Yeah, it's streaming on Canopy. That's where I was watching it from. So if you have Canopy through your local library, you can stream it there. It's available to rent. Um, it's a movie that I'm going to add to my collection eventually because I need all of the Peter Bogdanovich films. But it's a fine film. It's a fine film. Sybil Shepherd's great in it. You know, this is her back in the 70s. And you know, she's great. She's a great actress. Cloris Leachman, who was also in Last Picture Show, was in this film as well. I believe she plays her. Does she play her mother? Yes, I think so. But she has like this smart alecky, really annoying little brother in this film, who's like talking, who's like advising the guy who's trying to court the Sybil Shepherd character, and he's that typically annoying, smart alecky, smart ass little brother character who you see in so many movies and TV shows. And he's so annoying, so annoying. But yeah, so that's the film Daisy Miller by Peter Bogdanovich, based off of a short story or a novella. I think it's based off of a novella. So yeah, says coming soon. It doesn't say when. But next we've got this movie Underworld. This is a silent film from 1927. You know, when I hear the word Underworld, I think of that song from Disney's Hercules. Do you know what I'm talking about, Steven?
Yeah, but I'm surprised you don't think of the vampire film.
Oh yeah, that's true. You would be if you type in Underworld on IMDb or Letterboxd, do you know how many movies show up with the title Underworld in them? So many. It's like everybody just wants to use that word because it sounds so mysterious and creepy and just like, you know, it's headline grabbing. It gets you. But this is directed by Joseph von Sternberg. So for those of you who have been getting all this Joseph von Sternberg films, whether it be the box set from Criterion or the box set from Indicator, you may want to add this to your collection if you're a big Joseph von Sternberg fan. So, boisterous gangster kingpin Bull Weed, what a name, rehabilitates his former lawyer from his alcoholic haze, but complications arise when he falls for Weed's girlfriend. Yeah, this stars George Bancroft, Evelyn Brent. This is available to stream on the Roku channel. It's available to stream on Tubi. Yeah, if it's a silent film, I want to see it. I got to see it. 1927. Yeah, I'm curious about it. Man, I wish I had more time to watch more of these movies, to be honest. We just got bombarded last week. I mean, these companies didn't give a damn that it was a holiday week. They didn't care at all. I mean, I don't know about you, Steven, but like Thursday obviously was Thanksgiving, so I didn't have time that day. And then Friday, just like recovering from Thanksgiving, you know, got to be with family and friends and eating and this and that. So they didn't give a damn about, you know, giving us some break here in terms of having to talk about these movies. Let alone Kino, ruthless. But next we've got a movie that I'm pretty sure many of our listeners have heard about, seen, may already own in their collections like I do, and that is the George Stevens film Shane, the Western. That stars the Western from 1953, starring Alan Ladd, Gene Arthur, Van Heflin, Jack Palance, Brandon DeWilde, Ben Johnson. This is an Oscar-winning film, like I said, directed by George Stevens, based on a novel. I may have the novel actually, but Steven, have you ever seen this movie? Just curious.
No, it's a Best Picture winner, right?
It's not a Best Picture winner, but
nominated.
It won an Oscar on, I think, for Best Supporting Actor. The little boy in this film, who I think is one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen on screen, won an Oscar for this role.
Wow,
and it's really baffling to me. Yeah, Brandon DeWilde. I may be speaking out of turn here, but I think he's so annoying.
It's probably how I used to feel about Dakota Fanning in War of the Worlds.
Really?
Yeah, she was just so annoying.
A prodigy, that young actress.
Yeah, she
really
just
good.
Annoyed the fuck out of me in that movie. She just kept fucking asking questions and crying and just.
Well, I mean, there's an alien invasion going on,
know,
Steven.
but
I'm
she was
crying
still
too.
annoying.
I'm crying. Steven,
Still
hold me. There are aliens out there.
no, I say go to the aliens.
Oh man. I
But
still don't know how the son survived that movie, but
I haven't seen the film. I know it's pretty prestigious. You know,
yeah, this it got a little bit of a revival over the last couple of years because they referenced it a lot and they even watched it in the movie Logan. So the movie Logan, you know, the Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jackman, they kind of based his role over the character of Shane. Even so much as to like, there's a scene with Professor X, portrayed by Patrick Stewart, watching the movie in like a hotel room, and he's like pointing out about like the movie, and it's like, yeah, it's really obvious that Wolverine's supposed to be supposed to be Shane, you know, this old time gunslinger who's got to come out of retirement to protect these people. It's literally Wolverine in that movie. But yeah, Shane was nominated for a bunch of Oscars. It was nominated for Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, um, which it won. Why is it not telling me here? It was nominated for Best Director, nominated for Best Screenplay, nominated for Best Cinematography. Yeah, it's a classic Western, really classic Western. George Stevens, I have a George Stevens section in my collection. Like, I think he's that good of a director. Of course, I got one for everybody.
Yeah,
I got one for everybody. He directed Giant. He directed A Place in the Sun. Vivacious Ladies, a great movie. Yeah, he directed, I think, Woman of the Year, which was the first collaboration between Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. At least I think that's George Stevens. Why is it giving me cinematographer here? Oh, IMDb, you kill me. Trying to be sleek. Trying to be sleek. Yes, he directed. Yeah, this is not helping me. But anywho, yeah, so he directed a bunch of good movies. So moving on. So this is this. I don't think I mentioned it, Steven. It's getting a 4K UHD release. Yeah, it's getting a 4K UHD release. That's the news about this. Just says coming soon. It says a 2024 HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the original camera negative. So this release could come towards the end of next year, or it could come in 2025, knowing kind of Kino's track record when it comes to, you know, movies, you know, movie releases and whatnot. But let's move on from there. Let's scroll up to we got some details about Scarlet Street, which we already talked about. We got cover art. We got that it's coming out on January 30th, the 4K UHD release. It's a 2-disc edition. Scarlet Street, which is I think a really great film noir starring Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duria. This is an upgrade from, I believe, the release that they already put out years ago, which I don't think had any special features, if I remember. This is getting a new audio commentary. And I think it's got 2 commentaries on it, an old one and a new one. So yeah, Scarlet Street, really great film. So we are done with Kino. Goodbye, Kino. Let's move on to TerrorVision real quick because I know absolutely nothing about these releases.
Yes.
All I know is that these are coming out in January. And in typical TerrorVision fashion, these are going to be relatively low-budget horror genre films. First up here is Game of Killers from 1978. And this is a kung fu film that has been bootlegged and presented unfairly for decades. For the first time since its theatrical release, a Game of Killers is scanned, restored, and presented in the original aspect ratio of 2:35:1. That is a wide aspect ratio. But yeah, I had trouble finding this movie too because there's different years on Letterboxd, so it was a pain to figure it out. But I did. So 2 top killers, the Smiling Assassin and the Gritty Kid, team up to take on darker forces in the martial world. Yeah, this is available to stream on Freevee, on Tubi. Check it out because apparently it's a long lost martial arts classic according to TerrorVision. So yeah, it's getting there's an alternate longer cut of the film. There's an interview with Barry Chan, who I think was one of the stars of the movie. And then there's a visual essay in here as well. So very cool. Not typically what they usually put out, Steven, like martial arts type stuff.
They're still, I mean, like they did just not too long ago go out on their own. So, it's still developing an identity. I don't think for a company that's as low budget as TerraVision, they're probably not gonna put themselves in a box.
Yeah, they do. Oh, they do have their ravenous fans, though.
They do.
They do. So the Newly Deads, not Newlyweds, Newly Deads from 1988. 1 year off that magical year, Steven. Which year am I talking about? We'll never know.
Well, the year of Taylor Swift, 1999.
Ironically, that's in between both of our years of birth. That's what I was hitting at.
I know.
But this wonderfully gruesome tale of horror tells the story of 5 newlywed couples who arrive at the Newlywed Hotel, really hammering home that newlywed thing. A beautiful lakeside resort run by Lloyd Stone. Their arrival has been plagued by a supernatural ghost hellbent on preventing her playboy ex-lover from getting married. Those vengeful ghosts, they're very spiteful.
Yes.
Wedded bliss turns to horror as the guests are brutally murdered one by one. Only Lloyd possesses the power to stop the newlyweds from becoming the Newly Deads. Hey now. That's the title of the movie.
Sounds like a Netflix TV series to me.
It sounds, yeah, actually the premise sounds fun as hell. It really does. So that's the Newly Deads. And these all come, I believe, with limited edition slipcovers. I think they're limited to a couple of thousand, yes. Actually, there's 1,596 copies left of the Newly Deads, and there are 1,597 left of Game of Killers. Let's see. Oh yeah, and the last one here is What Happens Next Will Scare You. That seems to always be the case. This movie is from 2020, so we're getting into the 21st century. Working late on their Halloween feed, a motley crew of clickbait journalists share their top 13 scariest viral videos. When an early entry curses the snarky hipsters, they must distinguish fact from fiction before a tidal wave of terrifying supernatural activity leads to real-life murder. Always tends to.
Shring.
From instructional exorcism tapes to Sasquatch dashcam encounters, director Chris LaMartina delivers a fearsome found footage anthology loaded up with gore and giggles. The gore and giggles seem to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Fans of WNUF Halloween Special take note. Everyone's favorite paranormal research couple, the Burgers, pop up to investigate a grisly teddy bear in a segment that pays loving homage to Leonard Nimoy's In Search of series. Wow, it's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Seems like one of those anthology films that, have been coming out over the last several years. Things like VHS and ABCs of Death, things like that. Seems like in that vein.
Yeah.
So I think that is it from our buddies over at TerraVision. Buddy Brad Henderson doing his thing over there. Let's go over to our other buddy, Justin Decloux over at Gold Ninja. He dropped some stuff on Friday too. So we've got the Golden Triangle. And the Golden Triangle, after his partner is killed in a job gone wrong, a super cool secret agent, Yasuaki Karate, who was in Fist of Legend, is given the impossible mission to infiltrate a Filipino drug ring and take down the big boss, who was portrayed by Han Ying-che. Bruce Lee, he's from Bruce Lee's The Big Boss, before the bad stuff hits the street. Yeah, it's like he calls this here a Rock'em Sock'em Taiwanese Filipino co-production. That's got everything you want from 70s spy action film, construction yard gunfights, dirt bike chases, kung fu fights aplenty, a jaw-dropping cave set climax, and a supporting role by Evangeline Pascual, Miss Republic of the Philippines from 1973. The Blu-ray only features the English dub. That should make it even more fun. Yeah,
cool.
You know Gold Ninja.
I just recently ordered from them. Got a few things on the way, So
nice. So we've got another film here called The Monster Man from 2001. In 2210, aliens unleashed a deadly virus that wiped out the human race. Everyone died except for Jake. Damn it, Jake! You just couldn't die, could you?
Jake.
Now Jake, who's portrayed by Jose Prendas, is the last man on Earth, armed to the teeth and ready to fight to the death to make sure his new lady friend, hey now, I thought he was the last one, doesn't fall beneath the blade of the villainous Lord Gideon. Damn. And his gang of evil hooded monstrosities. In other words, Jake is going to have to kill them all. You don't say. Um, wow, it's like a last like a last man on earth type of movie. But it's like, yeah, he calls it here a no budget love letter to apocalyptic cinema, Zucker Brothers comedy, and anything goes action extravaganza featuring cameos from Tom Savini and Linnea Quigley. Interesting. Fascinating genre stuff here. And I think this is the last one here is Ed Wood's Revenge of the Dead from 1959. That's kind of cool. The beautiful dead rise from the impossible fog, eyes devoid of life, fingers outstretched towards oblivion, cursing the devils that doomed them to their infernal existence as they march toward violent retribution. On a dark and stormy night, up at the old house on Willow's Lake, only a few men stand in the way of the dead, the phony medium, Dr. Acula, the cowardly Kenton the cop, and the snarling man Mountain Lobo. Will these unaware mortals be able to bring peace to the shattered minds of the departed, or is humanity doomed to perish for the totality of our dreadful deeds? Only the amazing Griswold knows. Yeah, it's Ed Wood, so it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But lots of fun to watch, I guess.
But with charm.
So that's everything from Golden Ninja. Let's see. Let me get rid of that. I'm trying to get rid of these tabs. Let's go to. You want to go to Imprint, Steven?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to Imprint. Because
Imprint.
What do we
got
here?
This is a small slate for Imprint.
You say that, yet it's like 6 movies.
Yeah, I know, but it still feels small. But so February. This is their February releases, and they got Face to Face from 1976, and from 1987, A Man in Love. From 1983, they have The Dresser. From 1990, they have Mountains of the Moon. 1997, Children of Heaven. And then we have 2003's I'm Not Scared. I said that like a question. It didn't have a question mark on it. But all right. Well, I know none of these films.
I didn't know any of them until I started watching them. So Face to Face, let's start with the heaviest one first. That is an Ingmar Bergman film from 1976. Now, Steven, you may be asking yourself, hey, for those of you who have that gigantic Criterion set, is that movie in that set? No, it is not. No, it is not. This is actually a worldwide Blu-ray premiere of this Ingmar Bergman film. So that set from Criterion is not as complete as we all thought it was. I bet everyone listening now is like, yeah, they already knew all this, but I did not. But this movie is, like I said, came out in 1976, starring Liv Ullmann. Originally, it was conceived as a 4-part television miniseries, which is what it aired on in in Sweden. And you may be also asking yourself, hey, is that 4-part cut of the movie on this release? No, it is not. My gasp. Imprint themselves said that they tried to make that happen, but apparently the license holders say that that version of this movie is not available for commercial distribution, which leads me to believe, then why are we just holding it for shits and giggles? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Fuck. I know, similar to kind of like, how there's like a TV version of Fanny and Alexander. There's a TV version of Marriage, but not a Marriage Story. Well, It's oh boy,
You talk about Scenes from a Marriage?
Scenes from a Marriage. Yeah. Um. So I guess this was also kind of in that vein, but alas, it is not available on Blu-ray or I guess at all. But this version is the theatrical version is, and the theatrical version runs about an hour and 54 minutes. I think they cut it. There's another longer version that's an hour and 36 minutes that is not on this release here. So I think all you really get is the theatrical is the theatrical version that was initially came out back at that time. I want to make sure. Yeah. Oh no, this is the 136-minute version. My bad. My bad. So the version I watched was an hour and 54 minutes, which is the shortest version. And this movie is incredible if you are an Ingmar Bergman fan. If you're not, this movie may drive you insane. So,
Okay.
starring Liv Ullmann, who was in Persona and a bunch of his other movies, one of his, frequent collaborators during his career. She is a successful psychiatrist who suffers from profound depression and mental illness, finds herself teetering on the brink of a nervous breakdown, haunted by disturbing images and emotions from her past. That's the movie. This movie is like a 2-hour series of like distorted mental breakdowns and just very surreal sequences of this woman who was just suffering from mental illness brought out by trauma from her past that she's trying to deal with. And Liv Ullmann is amazing in this movie. She plays manic, she plays mentally disturbed so incredibly well. It reminds me a lot of Persona, but different tonally and different in ways in which the movie is presented. Persona feels like a ride. Like you just strap in, you're going down this mental, crazy, surreal ride of insanity. This movie feels like Bergman is attacking you. It feels like Liv Ullmann and him were like, we're gonna provoke the audience into like being like really disturbed by this and really freaked out by it. It kind of reminds me the way in which certain other filmmakers approach filmmaking that we've talked about before. Gaspar Noé, Lars von Trier, guys like that who I think deliberately are doing things in the movies to like attack the viewers, provoke the viewers while they're watching the movie. I felt like that while watching this movie. That's how like powerful and resonating the film was. Yeah, amazing film. Just amazing film, but you got to be into the heavy, deep, you know, deep density of a Bergman film because this is throwing everything at you. But yeah, really good film. The Dresser, different type of film, different type of film. So this movie was nominated for like Golden Globes. Um it's nominated for BAFTA awards and all kinds of stuff back in the day. So adapted from the play by Ronald Harwood of the same name. The Dresser was directed by Peter Yates, and stars Albert Finney and Tom Courtenay in a touring Shakespearean theater group. A backstage hand, the Dresser is devoted to the brilliant but tyrannical head of the company. He struggles to support the deteriorating star as the company struggles to carry on during the London Blitz. So this movie is set during World War II, specifically 1942, when uh, just London and England is getting bombed a lot by the Germans. And this is a traveling Shakespearean group. Albert Finney plays the lead. They go around just doing Shakespearean plays like King Lear and Hamlet and Macbeth and all this kinds of stuff. So they're doing King Lear, and this movie is really about the relationship between the Tom Courtenay character, who is the dresser, and Albert Finney, who doesn't even have a character name. They just call him Sir. Like that's his name is Sir, and his mental state is deteriorating to the point where he sometimes doesn't know where he is. He can't really function without his assistant, the dresser, who's been like his assistant for many, many years. Kind of like his Alfred Pennyworth, using a Batman comparison. But Albert Finney in this movie is so theatrically over the top acting. I think everybody really is, but Albert Finney is so wildly over the top because his mental state is so deteriorated that it's like sometimes it comes off as comical, sometimes it comes off as sad, and sometimes it comes off as brilliant, and sometimes it's all three. It's really something to behold. And the acting overall is so hammy, but a very interesting, fascinating movie that if you're familiar with the theater world, the theatrical world, you'll kind of appreciate it on that level. If you like Albert Finney, who the more of Albert Finney's work I see, the more I'm like, he was an amazing actor. Yeah, I think he passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Just an amazing actor, really good, really good. I got to see Mountains of the Moon, and the reason why I watched this movie is because it's directed by Bob Rafelson. Bob Rafelson, who of course was part of the BBS, part of BBS with all those films from like the BBS box set from Criterion. Why am I forgetting them? Things like Drive, He Said, King of Marvin Gardens, um, uh, Five Easy Pieces. I'm missing the biggest one, which is
Last Picture Show.
The Last Picture Show, but the other big one, the first one that's in that set, the one directed by Dennis Hopper. Easy Rider.
Easy Rider.
Yeah. Easy Rider. If you watch that BBS documentary on there, he's all over that because he directed some of those and he was part of that whole group. But I watched this movie kind of because I wanted to see more of his work. So this came out in 1990, and it's a historical picture film about explorers in the 19th century who are trying to find the source of the Nile River. Apparently, this is based on a true story. So it's about what's his name? I forgot. It's like Lieutenant. It's about two guys who start off as friends and then become kind of adversaries because of this journey. Yeah, story of Captain Richard Francis Burton and Lieutenant John Hanning speak expedition to find the source of the Nile River in the name of Queen Victoria's British Empire. The film tells the story of their meeting, their friendship, emerging amidst hardship, and then dissolving after their journey. So Patrick Bergin plays Captain Richard Francis Burton. Ian Glenn plays Lieutenant John Hanning Speak. You may know Ian Glenn from Game of Thrones. Richard E. Grant is in the film. Fiona Shaw is in the film. Great actress. She is in a lot of British stuff now, a lot of British TV shows. She was just in the first season of Andor. Delroy Lindo is in this film. Bernard Hill is in this film, who was in Lord of the Rings. This is very, very, very interesting period piece. Kind of an epic, but also kind of not, in my opinion. I think the first 2/3 of this movie are very good, and I think the last act of it, the movie kind of runs out of steam for me. Once they go through this expedition and journey through the deserts of Africa to find the source of the Nile, when they come back to England and kind of the drama ensues of the dissipation of their friendship, that's when I feel the movie kind of loses its robustness, if you will. And I don't think it's actually kind of handled really well. It's kind of underwhelming, if you will. But it's a fine film, kind of an underrated, film from 1990, or overlooked really. I had never heard of this movie until now. I had never heard of any of these movies really. But moving on from there, I didn't get to see A Man in Love, and I didn't get to see, so I only got to see I'm Not Scared. And yeah, this movie is interesting to say the least. So while playing outside one day, 9-year-old Michelle discovers Filippo, who is chained to the ground at the bottom of a hole. And you may be saying to yourself, that's something not right with that. Something not right. Well, you would be correct. There is a reason why there's a child being imprisoned in a hole in the ground in this Italian drama from what's it, 2003? Yeah, 2003, based on a 2001 novel. And this movie reminds me a lot of, I don't know why, the movie Spirit of the Beehive, the Criterion film that for some reason they won't put out on Blu-ray because crimes against Blu-rays. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on now. So yeah, this movie reminds me a lot of that, but also reminds me a lot of those other films that are dealing with children not coming of age, but like the loss of innocence, the exploration of a child, all this kind of stuff, because you find out the reasons why there's a child, um, imprisoned here, and it kind of shatters the world of this young boy, in terms of his trust between children and adults. Kind of shatters that trust, and you know what I mean, because you have a sense when you're a child, you trust your parents, you trust the other adults around, and you think they're good people, and then when you find out perhaps they're not, you know what I mean, things like that. Yeah, what I didn't say is that this movie is set in 1970s Italy, which apparently, you remember that box set that came out a few years ago, the Years of Lead box set, the
Yes.
Italian gangster film? But apparently, that's not only the name of that box set, that's the name of the time in Italy in the 70s, where apparently crime and kidnapping was rampant. Hence why there's a kidnapping in this movie. But yes, I'm Not Scared is very, very good. It's a very, very good film. I'm really glad I got to watch it for the podcast here, and I got to discover it for the first time. Apparently, it was a very critically acclaimed film when it came out. But yeah, I recommend it. I do recommend it. This is an interesting group of imprint stuff that I am not familiar with, so I kind of had to go in really cold, and just kind of wing it in terms of my preparation for the podcast. Um, yes. So I guess after we move on from there, Stephen, Arrow. Arrow was the last one of the week, the last real slate of the week.
All right. Well, with Arrow, this is actually pretty relatively small as itself. It's kind of don't see this a lot from Arrow either, but it's the beginning of the year. This is their February announcements, and the first one here, I'm actually familiar with this one because I own it. It had an in-print release, and that is the 1972 film Fear is the Key, starring what's his name? Guy, I'm blanking on his name, and I don't see it here.
What you do it to me now?
Newman. Yeah.
Oh, it really just says Newman on here. That is not fair at all. That's
I know, right?
Barry Newman.
Barry Newman.
Barry Newman, yes.
But this is known for having a really great, drive scene, like chase scene.
Have you seen it? Have you seen?
Yeah, I watched it.
Oh, okay, good.
So it's kind of an odd.
This movie's super underrated, in my opinion.
It's underrated. It's not. I mean, it is.
It's very sleek to the point. There's a mystery about the movie, so go into it not knowing anything. And
there's some really cool cameos.
Yeah. Did you catch a very, very young Ben Kingsley in this movie?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Ben Kingsley, or young Ben Kingsley. He's like maybe like under 30 in this movie, like under 30 years old. Super young. He has hair, and he's like a henchman of like the main antagonist, and he's rather sinister, I guess. But yeah, this movie has a great car chase sequence. Like I said, really great, well made. I don't want to say anything else about the plot because you kind of need to go into it as knowing as little as possible, but just know that it's kind of a super underrated 70s film. It has all kinds of 70s hallmarks in it, like muscle car chase sequence, badass main protagonist, cool shit going on in this movie. It's really, really good. I definitely highly recommend it. Get this release from Arrow or get the release from Imprint, but I would say either way, just like owning this movie, I feel like is like a must, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. It is, I want to say it is streaming because I did get to watch it streaming somewhere. Let me see where I found it. Let's see. La la la. Oh yeah, the Criterion Channel is streaming it as of right now. It's also available to rent for like $3.99 on Apple. Yeah, Fear is the Key is really, really good. But what's the other film we've got in here, Steven? Actually, the other two. We only have three. Super, super small month here.
Yes, so we also have the Shaolin Plot from 1977, or yeah, Shaolin Plot 1977. Flight choreographer Sammo Hung made one last film under his mentor director Hung Feng, before graduating to director chair himself with the first the Iron Fisted Monk. That film was the rarely seen martial arts ensemble thriller, The Shaolin Plot, which sees the pair reunite in Hong Kong heavy Cheng Sing. Yeah. Don't know anything about this one.
The irony is that we've talked about this movie before because it came out on Blu-ray from Eureka in 2022. So this has already been released in before. It's already been released before. Okay. So the Shaolin Plot, a sinister martial arts master moves violently through Hong Kong. The only person standing in his way is his best student. Sometimes the student's got to stop the master. It just happens. Obviously awesome action from 1970s martial arts film. Believe it's a Golden Harvest film. Just because it's Sammo Hung. And if it, so it's one that I'm pretty sure maybe many already have in their collection. We're just getting a new release here from
Arrow.
From Arrow. I wanted to see what the if there was any difference in special features, but they usually, it seems like Arrow kind of work together in terms of giving us the same exact special features. Let's see. Yeah, the same commentaries. The only thing, it's the same commentaries. That's the only special features on here. So it's kind of the same exact release, except I'm pretty sure this one is region. Yeah, this is the US release, the region A release. And Fear is the Key is the region A release as well. But the next one here is, I believe, a UK release only, but it is a 4K release, so you can play it here on your 4K player with no issue. And Steven, what is that film?
It's a little movie that has been remade a bunch of times.
Yeah, hit me now.
Invasions of the Body Snatcher.
I like how you put the S on the wrong
Yeah, I know, right? I said Invasions
of the Body Snatcher.
I mean, I guess I'm saying invasions because we've seen this movie invade people so many.
Well, I'm just saying you put the S on the
I did invasions,
and then you left it off of the Body Snatcher part.
Invasions of the Body Snatcher.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's a person, like it's one guy.
But this is the 1978 remake of the original. When the original come out? 1950? Of course not.
52.
When did the original come out, Steven?
I'm saying 52.
Okay, let me look it up on IMDb. But yeah, this is the remake starring Donald Sutherland. It's
56, by the way.
Oh, it is. Did you get to it before I did?
Well, it's on the same press release that you just
missed. Wow, I completely missed that. What a botch job. But this is the 4K UHD release. Now, for those of you out there who already have this on 4K UHD from Kino, congratulations, you bought it before they put it out from Arrow. Hence why this is a UK release only. It's because Kino has the release rights here in the US. I didn't miss out on the invasion. I didn't miss out on the Kino release. I just wanted to get it with the slipcover. And for some reason, some of the Kino slipcovers to their 4Ks sell quickly, or they've only printed limited amount of them. And once they're gone, like people want absurd amounts of money for it on eBay. And you know me, Steven, I gotta get my slipcovers, or else I just feel like the release is incomplete on one of those. They just feel so naked, so lonely, so incomplete. Feel so wrong. But I do want to check to see if the special features are different. Wow, there's a lot of commentaries here. Okay, so the Kino release is absolutely loaded with special features, specifically on that Blu-ray disc that it comes with, and this one here looks pretty loaded as well. I would have to do a side-by-side comparison, but damn, there's just too much here to do it off the top of my head. But this is coming with 3 different versions of this edition. There's a 4K UHD edition, there's a regular Blu-ray edition, and then I think there's another 4K UHD edition that has a different cover art.
One might
Did you
be
notice that, Steven?
one might be an exclusive to the Arrow.
I
That
think
seems
it
to
may
be
be
a
exclusive to the Arrow store on their website.
yeah.
They seem to be doing that. Now, Steven, have you seen this version of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Yes. I've seen it. It's of course got that really well-known ending.
Yeah, that ending that gets spoiled in every like horror movie montage of all time.
Yeah.
They spoil it so much in documentaries and sizzle reels and trailers, and I'm like, guys, it's this last shot of the movie. Come on, come on, it spoils it all.
I like this movie maybe a tad more than the original. I mean, I like both a lot, but this one has like a, it's that was the 70s was a paranoid time, so I think that adds to it. That extra layer of grittiness and paranoia of the 70s adds to this plot.
Yeah, you also have a really good cast.
And the cast
like
is
Donald
great.
Sutherland, Brooke Adams, young Jeff Goldblum is in here. Leonard Nimoy pops up. It's directed by Philip Kaufman, who is kind of an underrated director in my opinion. Let's see, Philip Kaufman. Yeah, he was I bring him up all the time. I feel so dumb when I forget about him. More of a writer than a director, but he did. I think he wrote. Yeah, he wrote and directed The Right Stuff, which is a great film that I think I brought this up on a much earlier podcast this year. I'm really surprised The Right Stuff didn't get a 4K UHD release from Warner Brothers for their 100th anniversary when they seemingly put out 4Ks for everything else. So I'm really surprised that they didn't do that for The Right Stuff. But yeah, he also, I think he was a writer on like Raiders of the Lost Ark, stuff like that. So yeah, I think all of I'm just looking at, screenplay. He did screenplays for Last Crusade. Oh no, he just had the character credits for that. Because I'm looking at all of the Indiana Jones stuff, and it's like you get credit for that forever. Like he gets credit on Lego Indiana Jones 2, The Adventure Continues. So
that's how you make the moolah.
I guess it is how you do stuff. Yeah, how you get the residuals for that. That's why they do the strikes and all that kind of stuff, so they can continue to get cuts of all those things and whatnot that we just kind of all went through. But yeah, this I don't know how this release directly compares with the Kino release. All I know is that Arrow does really good work, but it looks like the Kino release is just beyond loaded with stuff. Goodness gracious.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
I'm just ogling things.
Yeah.
So, ogling things I shouldn't.
Another thing, another week of releases have been ran down, have been talked about, and have now ended. Thank you, Andrew, for all that you have watched.
I know. What a marathon over the weekend.
What a damn tornado.
I can't tell you how many times I just passed out watching movies.
It happens to me all the time now. Even when I make an attempt and then I'm like, ugh.
Do you ever? I mean, this is probably a lot of people can understand this. Do you ever like convince yourself that you can make it through a movie only to pass out a half an hour in?
Yep.
You're like, I got this. I'm good. I'm good to go. I'll just.
And nowadays, I tell myself I can watch something with the baby in the room, and I'm like, I can work around this.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
and I'm like, I got it. I had to keep pausing it, and an hour and a half movie turns into 3 hours. You're like, Jesus Christ, never mind.
I did want to
later.
Yeah. So, is there anything else, Steven, that you wanted to talk about before it? Any other releases that you noticed that I didn't notice?
No.
No. Steven's cooked. He's good.
I'm done.
He is.
It's 11, almost 11:30 at night. Sir, where can they find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter or X at Capzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels. We will be having our Unwatched Pile newest episode coming up this week in honor of Noirvember. It'll be film noir related.
Yeah, all noir picks. Andrew probably will wear a hat.
Fedora. Yeah. Oh, let me get my fedora out.
Yeah.
I only bring it out for special occasions.
Yeah. And you can find both of us over at the film the Facebook page. Over there, that Facebook thing. We got a group over there. Go over there. We'll let you in. That's a place you can find us. You can also find me on Facebook by myself at Stephen Billings, and over at our other pages, whether it's our X page or our Instagram page, you can message me over there, and I'll be there. I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And then there's the audio. I'm tired.
Stephen is wasting away. You guys can't see it. He's slowly withering away.
I'm withering away. It's like this fucking bitch at the end of Wizard. I'm melting.
I was thinking more of like that Templar knight at the end of the Last Crusade in that cave.
You just been thinking about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, because I was just looking at all that Indiana Jones stuff.
It's a little bit more shocking.
It's like you've chosen wisely. And just fade away. Fade away.
But you can find our audio on all the normal places: Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching the movie.
I know I will.